This is the Hull University Art Collection. Today we've come by to take a look at two artworks that are carved from stone. They are created by two male artists and are of female figures. Oh wow. She looks sort of like she's not having a good time.
She does look like
she looks a bit stressed. I think because of the material it looks kind of like sort of Greek, an old-fashioned sort of sculpture from that you'd see in Greek temples. Well, I think it's recent, but it's sort of in the style of. This sculpture is called Conucopia and is created by Dobson. I think it's quite traditional, it's quite enjoyable to look at, however also it's quite striking. I enjoy these sort of sculptures. This sculpture is called Woman by Henri Gaudier-Brzeska. I quite like it, it's quite different to what I've seen around in this space so far. She has like her hand in her face, sort of like hiding. Like we were talking about that, like how she looks like she's maybe like afraid or worried about something.
So both the poses are actually quite unrealistic. You know, the body is kind of bending and curving in ways that it wouldn't naturally do. Like, you know, bodies don't go like that normally.
Like it wouldn't be a casual everyday pose, would it?
Yeah. Like, I don't stand there like this all the time. You know.
I'm John Bernasconi, I'm Director of the University of Hull Art Collection.
Looking at the artwork by Dobson, what do you think his intentions were throughout his art?
I think he was interested in producing a sort of classical type figure. I mean, he was a leading modern sculptor and developer of British modern sculpture, but still very much in a classical tradition. It's a sort of what they call a contrapposto, classical twisted form. It's called Conucopia. It follows a sort of classical idea, though also probably a bit influenced by Eastern art. He'd been on a visit to Ceylon, and the figure is a bit reminiscent of those sort of sculptures, I think.
Why is there a wavy texture on the background of the sculpture, and what did the artist want us to think about this?
GaudierBrzeska has a very different approach to sculpture than, say, Frank Dobson. He was, I think, influenced by Jacob Epstein, the sculptor, who took the view that modern sculpture needed to get away from the idea that comes from classical Greek and Roman sculpture, that sculpture should be sort of smooth and polished marble, that it should show the work of the sculpture, it should show the chisel marks, and that's a sort of claw chisel he's been using there. And I think it was Epstein probably who described these as the sort of fingerprints of the artist.
I learned when we were interviewing the people that like did sculptures, it's easy to think that they just like got their inspiration like really quickly, but it was very much like how we do today, and like they got inspiration from other artists and sculptures that they've seen.
I get the feeling they may not have focused about trying to make a story, however, it was still present. You could still make your own idea from it.
They didn't have their own story there. They had your story, the one that you made up in your head that you thought that person was doing at that certain time. And I think that's what all art should do.